Hello, folks. My name is Dave Kidd. I'm a psychotherapist, and this is my podcast, the I Am Podcast, Internal Art Museum, where every week we talk about a new picture, a new image that I use in my counseling. It's helped me and clients to understand these concepts better, and hopefully it'll help you as well. This is the fourth episode, and we're going to be talking about marriage this time. Relationships, long-term relationships. Of course, the iconic version of that would be a marriage. And we're going to be talking about how it's important or useful to see marriage as building a house. Let's explore. All right, so as usual, lovely Lily has made a lovely picture. You can see little old me standing on the roof, working on shingles. I don't know how to do that, but Lily's made me look a lot handier than I actually am. Actually, I think I'm holding the hammer the exact wrong way. Yeah. And but my wife is doing a good job. She's painting the house. And so you can see at the bottom, we've got this super thick, strong foundation that the whole house is built on. And we're busy in our 30th year building our marital house day by day. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how this works and how you can use this image to hopefully help your marriage, your long-term relationship as well. So how to imagine your marriage like building a house. As I say, it all starts with this super firm, thick foundation. And I believe that this super thick, immovable, that's another word I'm looking for, unassailable. Oh, that's a good word. Unassailable. So this foundation, this super thick, impregnable, unassailable foundation is, I believe, built on non-negotiable needs. Over the years, this concept has solidified in my mind as I've worked with clients and built my own marriage. And what I've come to see is that there are 7 needs that all healthy, long-term, intimate relationships require. So these 7 needs are trust, respect, shared values, shared life goals, commitment, support, and attraction. I've put this list together because I believe there's really no wiggle room when it comes to these items. It's really hard for me to imagine a lifelong, fulfilling, intimate relationship that doesn't meet these needs for both partners. Now, over the years, I've given people a lot of latitude to identify their own needs because honestly, up until recently, I wasn't comfortable just laying out these 7 needs and saying, all right, everybody, these are the exact things that you need. And so over the years, I've asked clients, what do you think your non-negotiable needs are? If you took time thinking about what you could absolutely never do without in your marriage, each of these needs, and if you couldn't imagine a life with somebody in which this need wasn't being met, that need would make it onto your non-negotiables list. So I would ask clients to come up with this list usually about a handful, I would say, no more than that. And over the years, client after client, couple after couple would come up with their lists. So these 7 items are really a summary of the needs that kept coming up over and over again. And so I want to share them with you. These 7 needs, I think, are essential. So that said, I'll share with you a 3-step process that I go through when I'm working with couples who are either at the point in the relationship where they're considering getting married, spending their lives together, or they're in a lifelong relationship, in a marriage, and they're unsure whether or not they should continue. I suggest these needs to them. And then what we do is we take a little bit of time going through the list, and each partner rates the other out of 10 on how well their partner has met these 7 needs up until the present. So, out of 10, how well has your wife met your need for trust? How well has your husband met your need for respect? How well has your wife met your need for shared values? And so on. Now, you might be asking, so do you have to have 10 out of 10 on these lists? And I've also found that there isn't that much precision. I don't think these lists can be used as a scientific measure of a healthy marriage. I think what they do is they provide a rational foundation for judging the health of a relationship and the potential health of a relationship. But when it comes to the scores, what they mean to you is a little bit subjective. So you may decide that you need 10 out of 10 in these. You may decide you need more than 5 out of 10 on these needs. So I just wanted to let you know that it's not cast in stone as far as I'm concerned. So you rate your partner based on these needs, and that's step 1. And then step 2 is allowing each partner to state whether or not they believe they can meet their partner's non-negotiable needs. So I get to say to my wife, yes, I think I can meet your non-negotiable need for trust. Or no, I don't think I can meet that need for whatever reason. So it's an important step, even though it goes by pretty quickly, because if I answer no to any of those, it's going to be crucial information for my partner to use in making their decision, right? So that's step 2. Each partner gets to go through the list and say whether or not they believe they're capable of meeting their partner's needs. And then step 3 is where the rubber meets the road. Step 3 is you take all of that information, the needs, how you've rated your partner, and your partner's answers regarding if they think they'll be able to meet your needs. And then you make this very important decision regarding whether or not you think your partner will meet these needs going forward. Because these are deal breakers. These are non-negotiable. So if your best prediction is yes, I believe my partner is going to meet these needs, then it's my belief that you and your partner will be able to build a healthy, fulfilling marriage, a healthy, fulfilling, lifelong relationship. It's important to note that these non-negotiable needs aren't stable, inherited personality traits. These are all behavioral indicators that each partner in a relationship is in control of. They can be intentional about behaving in those ways. They're not limited by their personalities, let's say. So trust. Anybody can behave in a trustworthy manner, right? So if you believe your partner is going to behave in a trustworthy manner, then you believe they're going to meet those non-negotiable needs. So it's more really about what they do than who they are. So I need my partner to do these things. I don't necessarily need them to be this specific person, because as they commit to the relationship and through discipline behave the way they need to behave, those needs become met over the years. So out of those 7 non-negotiable needs, I think there is one that stands out as the bedrock, and I think that's commitment, because it's the commitment that insists you chain yourself to this person. Now, I understand that some marriages need to end. There are clear-cut reasons why marriages need to end. I don't believe that you must suffer through anything and everything once you've made these decisions. But I think I've come to realize that there are probably fewer reasons to end a marriage than I used to think anyway. So you commit to somebody, you chain yourself to them, and that chain does the lion's share of the work for the rest of your married life. When you're stuck with somebody, you have to make things work. And this intersects with this image of building a house that we'll be talking about, because building the house is basically making the marriage work. So we've got the foundation, firm foundation, these 7 non-negotiable needs. Now we move to building the house. So we can see the house as a gestalt. Now, Lily, explain to everybody what a gestalt is, please, because you know exactly what a gestalt is.
The cake thing?
The cake thing, absolutely. No explanation needed. The cake thing. Does everybody understand? Yes, the cake thing. So a cake is more than just the ingredients. A gestalt refers to the fact that a whole can be more than its parts. So yeah, so a cake is an example of a gestalt, because you've got sugar, you've got, you put salmon in it? What about salmon cakes?
Then yeah.
Yeah. So you got sugar.
Oh, those are actually good.
Yeah. So, anywho, so you've got sugar and you've got flour, and what's one more ingredient that you put in a cake?
Eggs.
Eggs. So you got sugar, you got flour, and you got eggs. But when somebody asks you, "This is delicious. What do you call this?" You don't say, "Well, this is sugar, flour, eggs," right? You say, "This is a cake." And so the cake is more than those ingredients. It becomes this newly defined thing. And so that's kind of what gestalt means. And so the house is this gestalt, which is more than just the man, and it's more than just the woman. It's this bringing together and melding of those two into this one thing, where two become one flesh. So they become stuck to each other. And so the house that they're building is bigger than either of them. And it's really important for them to look at this new job of building a house as bigger than just themselves. So when I'm talking to clients, I think one of the biggest issues that I see is clients getting in these huge stuck scenarios where neither budge. So the wife says, "Well, I'll change, but only if he changes." And the husband says, "Well, I'll change, but only if she changes." So nobody changes, and they get stuck. And the problem is that their main focus is their own needs, their own fairness. It's not fair to her, so she's not going to act. Well, it's not fair to him, so he's not going to act. And so for years, I would get really overwhelmed in these situations when I was doing marital therapy, because here was this horrible, unfair, complex, unsolvable situation that I had to somehow solve. I had to somehow make this fair for everybody. But I couldn't see how to do that, because it didn't seem fair for the wife to change. It didn't seem fair for the husband to change. And I would feel overwhelmed then. But recently, due in large part to insights I've gotten through my own marriage, I've come to realize that it's just not about fairness. And that took such a huge load off of my shoulders as a therapist. I didn't have to make everything fair for everyone. The secret, the super secret, the marital hack that will change your marital life is understanding that the most important question you can ask is, in this moment, what can I do that is best for my marriage? Not for me, but for my marriage. if you can ask that question, and it is a courageous question to ask, and a humbling question to ask, and a frustrating question to ask. But if you can ask that question, and if you really honestly want the answer comes quite easily. So as I'm talking with clients, they're in this horrible stuck situation, and sometimes stay there for years. So a couple will come to see me. And so the husband, right, he says, I'm not going to apologize because you never encouraged me. This doesn't sound fair to the husband, does it? No. And so am I, as the therapist, going to ask the husband to do something that's unfair? That doesn't sound like a good idea. But we've learned that it's not about fairness. That will never break the impasse. It's about doing something that you think is unfair. You don't have to do that. But if you don't, things aren't going to get better. So if I said, okay, husband, ask yourself, what can I do that's best for the marriage right now? What do you think the husband would say?
I don't want to say giving in. I don't know what's a good way to say it other than like giving in or letting the wife get what she wants.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the whole fairness question, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it can be seen as giving in, as losing, right? If it's about winning and losing, then he feels like he's losing if he surrenders. So if he feels like this is about winning and losing, and that he's going to lose if he surrenders, then he's going to be thinking about his own needs, and he's going to stay stuck, right? But instead, if he asks, what's best for the relationship? What's best for the marriage? He'll probably say what?
It's best to let his wants go.
Okay. And for him, that was needing encouragement, right? Because he said, I'll apologize, but only if you encourage me. And so what's best for the marriage in that moment is for him to give up and apologize, even though he doesn't get the encouragement. It doesn't seem fair, right? It doesn't seem fair. Why should he have to give up his needs, his rights? And I can't argue against that, other than to say, if he doesn't, his marriage isn't going to get better. And if he does, his marriage will. Because this is almost always what happens. He decides, all right, I give up. I'm raising the white flag. I am going to apologize and not need my wife to encourage me. And so the husband gives up and says, all right, I truly am sorry that I didn't put the dishes away when I said I was going to yesterday. You had a busy day. I didn't appreciate how busy your day was. I promised you that I would do it. It wasn't fair. I screwed up. I'm truly sorry. He's made himself vulnerable. And his wife can jump all over that and use that against him, right? You don't want to make yourself vulnerable when you feel like you're in a war with somebody. But he's raised the white flag. And it might be a little bit confusing for the wife because she doesn't see this behavior very often. But I have seen this happen in therapy where the next thing the wife does is she says, I really appreciate that. And I want you to know that I remember last weekend when you were with the kids, I was watching you at the park, and you're a really good dad. You were down there getting dirty with them and having fun, and everybody was laughing. And I had this warm feeling towards you. And so I really appreciate that about you. So the husband gave up, surrendered. All right, I don't need the encouragement. I've given up getting the encouragement. I'm just going to apologize. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm not going to expect anything in return. And what happens? He gets the encouragement. The exact thing that he wanted follows immediately after he answers the question, what's best for the relationship, and acts accordingly. So it's not guaranteed, but I've actually seen this happen. I've seen it happen in my own marriage, and I've seen it happen in therapy as well. I'll give you a funny example. from my own marriage. So we have a lot of people living in our house. And those people drive cars. And there are a lot of cars in our driveway. There are cars everywhere. So this has been the case for about a year and a half, I guess. So I work a late schedule, don't get home sometimes until really late, like 11:30 p.m. And even though this has been going on for over a year, every night I come home forgetting about this crazy car situation. And as soon as just when I get to my home and I turn the corner to the driveway, I remember I have to back out a car, put in my car, get the other car, put the car back in. And I don't like doing that, which I think is probably reasonable. But that's the situation. So I should add that the car that I have to put in and take out is my wife's car. So this new philosophy that I've been telling you about, asking what's best for the marriage, I've been trying to put it into practice. And what that meant was saying, even though I'm gritting my teeth and feel very much like expressing my frustration and feeling like it's unfair, even though I'm sure it's probably not, instead of doing all of that, what's best for my marriage will probably be not to say anything and just to do this. It takes about 7 minutes. It's not a big deal. And just forget about it and truly accept it, like truly accept it. Lay it to rest so that it's not growing resentment and bitterness in me. Just put it to rest. And so that's the attitude that I've been taking over the last year. Every night when I come home, move the stupid cars and don't get frustrated about it. And it's actually been working. It never causes any arguments with my wife and I because I don't say anything about it at all. And everything has been fine for the last year. And then do you know what happened about a month ago? I don't think you know what happened a month ago, do you? So I come home one night. As usual, long commute, late at night, get to that final corner and remember, oh, I've got to move the cars. Well, I can't do a good yell. So I say that. I said that. And I turn the corner. My wife's car. So I come around the corner and my car's wife. I didn't even know my car was married. And there's my car's wife. My wife's car is sitting there beside the curb, not in the driveway where it usually is. After a year, she realized on her own that it would be nice and I would appreciate it if she left her car on the street so that I had one less thing to do when I came home to put my car in the driveway. I didn't have to say anything. She figured it out. And so all I had to do, and this was an enviable job. I got to have a conversation with her the next day in which I said, that was awesome. I really appreciate that. That made me so happy. So instead of having to get in arguments day after day and teeth grinding and guilt for a year, I got to have this authentic, appreciative interaction. And she liked being appreciated. And so I think it had a positive effect on her as well. And so now, every time I turn that corner, where's her car? It's on the road. And that's what I mean. That's how this whole thing seems to work. And so our marriage got a little bit better just based on these stupid little decisions that I made and that she made. And that's how marriages get better. Making a healthy marriage is actually simpler than I once thought and harder. So it's simpler and it's harder. When you ask the question, what's best for the marriage, the answer is usually simple, but it's hard to do because it means setting aside your own prides and your own desires and doing what's best for your partner. The dirty secret is oftentimes you get exactly what you want in return. I should add that there are some times when you're going to have an argument about something. There are some times when you're going to have to take a stand and disagree with your partner. And that's completely acceptable. What makes those times easier, though, is you've built up all of this goodwill capital through asking that question day after day, asking that what's best for my marriage question day after day. It builds up all of this goodwill capital. You've deposited this goodwill into your relationship bank account. And so when you have to make a withdrawal, like taking a stand and having that argument, it's not as damaging as it would have been otherwise. So we are creeping up on the end of our podcast for today. Don't forget to punch the like button, click subscribe, and add your comments because I love to read them. And I think that's it for this episode. So take care, y'all. So today, this is the third episode, and we are second episode, the third episode. This is the fourth episode. This is the third episode. And we're going to be, this is the fourth episode. This is the fourth episode. Okay.
Right?
Yep, it is.